So I want to go back to kind of talking about guys doing the minimum and kind of the structure of having workouts set for you by a trainer or having your skill sessions set by a trainer. If you're 16 to 22, that age we're talking about, and you, like you're saying, you go to the gym and you have your trainer and you have your skills coach, it's like that is baseline. That is not, that is almost not considered the training part because everyone is just doing it already. There's no edge you're gaining than by just showing up for the minimum thing. So if you play junior, you're going to play with guys that don't do that. And it's going to seem like I'm doing way more than these guys. But because of how much it funnels from junior to college to pro levels, whatever, you're not competing against the guy that doesn't do the bare minimum. You're competing against the guys that all do the bare minimum and then some.
Well, all do the minimum that at this camp you're at are the best in their country that were drafted in the first, second, or third round, or their invites and played in whatever league, whatever Swedish pro league, that their training is off the charts. That they come in and they look like bone racks, but their gas tank never ends, and that you go, oh,
right. Well, let's take
so don't be shocked.
take the NHL combine, right? Everyone that's at the NHL combine, you think they don't train 4 times a week, 5 times a week, 6 times? Everyone does.
Well,
most. Unless you're the 1% guy that you're not who we're talking about. The vast majority of those guys that are being recruited by NHL teams, they have an off-season workout routine that they're doing. They have a program that they're following. I guarantee you 90% of the guys that are there have that. Very rare that you'd have a guy at 18 years old that doesn't follow an off-season training program. That's who you compete against. You don't compete against the fourth line guy that's barely making the OHL or that barely can hang on to a spot in a junior team. That's not who you're comparing to. Again, if you say, I want to play in the NHL, everybody wants it. Everybody wants that. So now you're taking your minimum, your baseline. This is what baseline is. You have your 4 to 6 workouts a week and 2, 3, 4 skates a week. And then that ratio changes through the summer. Everybody's doing that. Everyone. So if you want to get an edge in some way, then all those things, the stuff that you just listed, that's where you're going to find it. That's where you find the edge. And I remember I have just one anecdote for myself is going into my 18-year-old year when it was like the NCAA commitment years. I did what you said with the shooting. I used to take my dad's van. I had my license now. I would take my dad's van and I'd put 2 pieces of plywood in the back and I put the net on top of the van and I would drive it to the baseball diamond and rip pucks because if I did it in my driveway, I didn't have a place to shoot. So that's what I would do. I went to the hardware store with my dad. He got 2 pieces of plywood that had a finish on it so I could shoot, and we brought the net and we would go there with a bucket of pucks. My dad came sometimes to help me. Sometimes I would just drive and go there myself and do it. And that next season, I had almost 40 goals that season. And that was the year that I was getting the most attention I ever got in my life from NCAA schools, OHL teams. And that was the best year of hockey for me when I was doing all of those things in the off season, and it was the extras. It wasn't going to the gym that made the difference because I had been going to the gym.
You have to go to the gym anyway.
I know I had been going to the gym and I continued to go to the gym. I was skating with you. I was skating with the junior guys, the pro guys, whatever, when you had those skates. I was doing all that stuff. That wasn't where I found the difference. I found the difference in doing that extra stuff.
In what you needed.
Right. And it still wasn't enough.
Dude,
that's the other part.
As you're talking about this, it's like when you start comparing who you are going to be competing with is like the best player in the world, Sidney Crosby. I don't know the guy. I actually don't know what he does in a day, but I know that he works out as hard as anybody that comes here. And I also know that his diet is probably dialed in better than most people. So there's one advantage. That's one thing he's thinking about is eating properly. I'm sure he's doing other things. Jaromir Jagr, for example, he had that initiative. Like he didn't think he would be at the ice on the ice all the time. He had his own routine because he didn't like what his own coaches were doing ever. And maybe he was nuts, but he was one of the longest ever playing pro hockey. So something worked there. Maybe that's crazy, but that proves the point.
Yeah.
He's just a machine, but this guy would work out every day and he get on the ice every day. That's what he needed to feel good. He knew what he needed. And it's just like to your point, when I was a kid, I did things like my brothers and I would say, okay, let's go for a run. Middle of the night, not middle of the night, not 2 in the morning, but we'd be sitting around the house and go for a run. Well, with two brothers, you don't want to say, well, I don't feel like it. Go for a run. Might be a 20 minute, might be 40 minutes, whatever. Go for a run. The one couple years I found these sand dunes in Sudbury. Like they were just like rock piles basically, but there's the sand part. I found them and I started running them, and then after a couple years, someone told me like that you could have like a sand avalanche. Eh? Oh, I'd be dead. But that's what I felt like when I was doing it in my head. I was, and then this is what the beautiful thing about when you're doing the stuff on your own. Like you do it at the gym too. When you do stuff on your own, it's you against whatever, but it's in your head. You have a picture of what you're doing it for. Could be wrong. For me, it was like I was doing these hills and I was like Rocky, and I was just whatever it was like inside. I felt my legs were just getting strong, my lungs were getting expanded, and that's what I felt like. I'm like just a machine when I did that. And whether it was right or wrong, I chose to do that because I felt that's what I needed. And these are the points I'm talking about, is stepping away from the structured stuff and doing something that you feel is going to be beneficial. And you have to, I really believe you have to have that motivation, because you're probably not Connor McDavid, but he works his ass off. You're probably not Sidney Crosby, who works his ass off. So it's like you have to put the time in, but away from it is where I think you really get some huge benefits. And the one thing though that I can will probably get some pushback is, in fact, one NHL scout told me, one suggestion is like kids have to just step away and not beat themselves up. Like step away from the game and get your mind away from it a bit. And that's true to a point, right? To a point, because if you're away from the game mentally, like, I mean, that's where your relaxation stuff, golfing and all that stuff comes in. You need to step away. But I am of the opposite point of view, is that if you got this window of time to become everything you want to be in the game, I don't think it's a really good idea to be stepping away and just be easy on yourself. You know, it doesn't mean going out to every mindless skills session. That's not what that means, but it means finding the thing that you feel is going to make you better. And I really, truly believe that that is a big difference maker, not only just for hockey, but for your life.
Well, I think the break, speaking to the break point, it's you need a break. Because like I make our guys not like I don't let them come here for the 2 weeks when they're done. But the point is not that you're packing it in and totally pissing off for 2 weeks. It's like this is actually part of the plan. Part of the plan is the break. So you're breaking in the context of still that helping you get towards your goal. It's not a break and like we don't care what happens for the next 2 weeks. It's still just like, yeah, I'm taking this 2 week break knowing that in 2 weeks I'm starting my plan again. So it's not just it's totally out of sight, out of mind, even though we talk about it in terms of out of sight, out of mind, so you get the break, right? That's so it's a fine line there between you're just doing negative things for 2 weeks versus you're doing an intentional plan break that is actually going to help you later.
For
So
sure.
that's kind of where the difference comes in. And I think that's
You just don't want to make that 2 months.
yeah, it's not a 2 month break exactly, right? But it's with purpose. That's the whole point of all this stuff, right? You're doing the thing with purpose. So